Hi, so today we are going to bite the bullet and we are going to talk about safety. Now, when I say safety, a lot of things can come to mind, but really we're talking about how to stay safe when you're at a party, how to stay safe when you are drinking something that should be done when it's over the age of 21, but may not be. So let's give you some tips. Some tips for if you take a pill or do anything of that sort, and general tips for safety when you are with another person. And I will tell you that I'm not gonna go around the bush here because one, I'm just a very blunt person, and number two, I think it does you no good if I kind of skirt around it. So just a heads up, if you don't like talking about these topics, this is the end to the video for you. You can walk out, you can go to a next video, whatever you can or want to do is fine by me. If there's something in here that might trigger you, leave. Totally appropriate. Okay? So before I go into safety tips, I want to talk about something that is a little strange. So, or not typically taught. Maybe it's not strange. It shouldn't be strange. I want to talk about why we shouldn't need safety tips. You shouldn't need safety tips because you're on a college campus. You should be safe there. That should be a place of learning where, you're okay to make mistakes and not have to make serious consequences of it. However, that's just not the case. But we still want to be really good stewards to other people. We have a responsibility to the people around us, especially our fellow peers at our college, to kind of take care of each other, even if we don't know each other, okay? So I want to go over some of those tips. And these tips, you may think, if you're feminine, these are for you. Or if you're masculine, these are for you. No, these tips are how you be a good human, okay? Later on, we're going to get into some more like here feminine tips, here masculine tips. But right now, we're going to talk about everyone, okay? So when you are at college, or when you are generally anywhere in life, I want you to know 3 things. Number 1, you have a responsibility to the people around you. Other humans deserve to be safe. Number 2, you are a good human, and you should act like it, okay? You should be the knight in shining armor. Why? Because I'm telling you how to be. And because, not everyone has a Miss Reed giving them these tips. Not everyone has a Miss Reed telling them that they should be honest and good. But you do. So therefore, you are held to a higher standard, at least in my mind. Number 3, we run off the assumption that everyone else is terrible, okay? We run off the assumption that everyone else is not a good human being, will not be your shining knight in shining armor, and will not intercede for you. They should, but they didn't have a Miss Reed. You did, okay? So here are the things that you should do to be a kind human being, okay? You should watch out for other people. I don't care if you're male, I don't care if you're female. If you see someone and they're clearly uncomfortable with the conversation they're having, or the interactions, or if they're walking down the sidewalk and they look really, really scared, you have the obligation, you have the responsibility to go up to them and at least ask them if they need help. If they look uncomfortable with the conversation or the interaction, here's what you do. You go up to the person who looks uncomfortable and you go, "Oh my gosh, hey, I haven't seen you in such a long time." And this is a very popular trick. And if they are uncomfortable, they will latch onto it. And they'll go, oh my gosh, how have you been? And then you have the ability to get them out of that conversation, okay? Why does that work? Number one, people come up to other people constantly and ask how they've been and like, how are you doing? So it's not an uncommon thing. But it is a common trick to get people out of an uncomfortable situation so they'll latch onto it, okay? I've done it several times. They will not think you are weird if you do it, okay? They will most likely go, oh, thank God. Thank you for getting me out of that. And then you all can move about your lives, okay? So, number 2, second trick. If you see something, you'll say something, okay? That's it. That's the trick. If you see anything, if you see a woman acting uncomfortably, if you see, somebody who does not look mentally well, you tell somebody. And here's the trick. If you're at a party and you see that somebody is passing around a drug, or somebody is trying to get a woman who is clearly intoxicated into a room by herself, you say something. You say something to anyone, and they will most likely go, oh yeah, that is kind of strange. And then you have another person with you when you confront somebody or you take care of the matter, okay? Simple. Okay, number 3. If you see someone who is clearly intoxicated, somebody who is just out of it, you get them in a car, an Uber, a taxi. You tell the driver where to go, and you get them home. You have an obligation to do that. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about going to a party, because most likely you will, and some of them are really bad. Some of them are just like not worth going to, and other ones of them are kind of fun. Naturally, I'm Miss Reed, so naturally, I've never been to a college party ever. I've also never taken a drink of alcohol ever. Okay, because I'm a teacher, right? And I don't want to get fired. I'm not. Anyhow, just go off that assumption that I'm working off other people's advice and not my own. Okay. So general tips for going to a party. I want this ingrained in your mind. You need a ride there. You need a ride back. You need a ride there. You need a ride back. You need a ride there. You need a ride back. Okay? So, I'm going to talk to the females right now because they need more tips than men, which is awful, and I wish that weren't the case. But here's the reason that I'm giving you these tips. Not everyone has a Miss Reed. Not everyone has the ability, not everyone has me telling men to be good, okay? I can't get to every single man in the world. And as long as there is one man who will take advantage of you, it is my responsibility to make sure that you are going to be okay. So I realize that, we should teach men not to, and not teach women how to make sure that he does it to another woman. I understand that, but we're still going to go over these tips because you need to know them. Okay, so during a party, let's talk about parties first. You travel in packs, even to the restroom, okay? So if you have one other person coming with you, there's 2 of you, right? Here's the rule of 2. Where one goes, the other goes, right? Because you can never be alone. Here's the rule of 3. Where one goes, the rest of them go. Why? Because let's say one of you needs to go to the bathroom. So the other goes, oh, Well, you can't be alone when you do that, so I'll go with you. Two of them leave to go to the bathroom. You just left one person out on the dance floor by themselves. No go. Where one goes, all three of you go. Okay? The rule of 4 or more is that everyone needs to have at least one other person with them. Okay? When you're at a party, you cover your drink. If you put your drink down, you go and get another drink. You do not take drinks from anyone that is not a bartender, right? Even at like a college party, you don't let some frat boy give you a drink. No, you make your own drink when you're at a frat party, okay? When you're at a bar and you're older and you can go to those, then you can take something from a bartender, hopefully. But until then, you cover your drink. If you put it down, you leave it. Okay. Oh, again, look out for other girls. We're pretty used to this, okay? So just, like I said, go, hey girl, haven't seen you forever. How you been? And then you walk off together and then you leave whoever it is alone, okay? When you're walking around campus or around your college town, same thing goes. If you can walk with somebody, walk with somebody. If not, pepper spray. Keys in your hand. If you want to get a taser, by all means get a taser. All those things that make common sense. If there's a well-lit place, you go in the well-lit place. Take the shortest route home. Here's what you do when you're walking home from like a night class or something. You call your mother. Nobody's going to jump you when you're saying, hey mom, how's it going? No, nobody's going to do that. Why? Because that mom will go berserk and they don't want that. Okay? Another thing that you can do, and I did this all the time. This is for catcallers, right? If you don't want people to catcall you, which you don't, men, we don't want that at all. We don't. But to stop that, you put AirPods in, you put headphones in, whatever you have, and then you don't play music. You just have them in your ears. Then they'll go, oh, she won't even hear me because she's listening to music, so I just won't do it. And if somebody is sneaking up on you, you can still hear them. So it's a good trick. It's a good trick. Unfortunate that you have to do that, but it is a good trick. So try that. Okay. For the men or people of masculine persuasion, let's say, you still have an obligation to get women out of uncomfortable situations. And actually, you can do that a lot better than other women can, okay? I don't want you to think that people will think you're weird for getting them out of this conversation, okay? Or making sure that they get a ride home. If they're clearly uncomfortable with this man or with whoever it is, you can come up to them and you can say, hey, I wanted to show you something. Can you come with me? And then they go, yeah, because they want to get away from that person. And you're hopefully a little bit more trustworthy than that person. Okay? That's what we're hoping for here. You have an obligation to keep people safe and to keep yourself safe. So if you see somebody that's clearly too drunk to drive home, you have an obligation to help them. If you're too drunk to drive home, which is if you've had a drink, you're too drunk, okay? That's the rule. Then you get an Uber for yourself, okay? Okay, so speaking of drinking, let's go into it, okay? You should eat before you go out. You should eat after you go out, okay? Before and after kind of thing. That's to make sure that you have something in your stomach besides alcohol. You do not want to have that the only thing in your system. People are like, oh, it'll get you drunk faster. Yes, it will. But you don't want that kind of drunk. I'm not working off of personal experience there. You should drink water, not tea, not coffee, not soda, water before you go out. You should drink water after you go out, okay? The only time that this does not apply, where you should not drink water or you should not eat after you go out, is if you're throwing up, okay? Sorry, but it's true, okay? If you are throwing up, your body is trying to purge whatever you put into it. And at that point, it doesn't care whether it's a hamburger. It doesn't care whether it's water. It's going to just out. We don't want that. So the general rule, and it took me forever to figure this out for my friends, not for me. The general rule is if you throw up, you wait 30 minutes to an hour to put anything in your system. Anything. Okay? Okay. Do not mix your liquors. It's not fun. The hangover will not be fun. So what does that mean? Mixing liquors. Okay. So you have dark liquors and you have light liquids. Okay. So think dark liquids is beer. It's dark. You can't see through it, right? Light liquid or whatever it is. I can't think of it. Okay. That would be like vodka or tequila. You can see through it. It's light. It's opaque. Whatever you want to say. Do not mix the two. Do not mix the two. If you're going with beer, stick with beer. If you're going with tequila, stick with tequila. Why do I say that? Because the hangover will not be fun. It will not be fun, and even when you're drunk and you're like, this is great, that won't happen. That won't happen at all. So just whichever side you go on first, that's where you stay. Okay. Make sure you have a ride home. Duh. If you are a girl, make sure you have one other person with you and make sure you stay with them the whole time, blah, 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 blah. Oh! You should never leave your friends behind at a bar, at a party. Ever. Ever. Even if they say, no, I want to stay, just leave me here. No. No. I don't care if they're with another crowd. You don't leave them. That's common sense. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. Okay. This is for everyone, okay? If you bring home a very, very intoxicated friend, you make sure that they fall asleep on their side, okay? Why do I say that? Because if they throw up in the middle of the night and they're laying on their back, if they throw up, the throw up has nowhere to go. They choke on their vomit and they die. I'm really sorry to tell you that. And I realize it's kind of vivid, but I wanted you to know that's why. You don't want to lose a friend that way, especially when something as simple as turning them over to their side would have saved them. Okay, general things to keep in mind for consent. Here's a checklist that you can go through to make sure that you have consent. Okay? Both parties, the boy and the girl, or the girl and the girl and the boy and the boy and the whatever and the whatever, both have a level head. They are not clearly drunk or clearly high. If they can pass an intoxication test, they're good. But people are like, I don't want to have my partner do an intoxication test before. Okay, that's fine. what you do is you go to the bedroom door. You say, if you can make it to the bed and get on the bed without falling over, without being clearly intoxicated, there you go. If they have trouble sitting or making their way to the middle of the bed, they should not be on that bed. Okay? Both are clearly comfortable. You know when somebody is uncomfortable. You know. Your body knows. There's an instinct. Like, you've been conditioned your whole life to know this. You know if somebody is uncomfortable. If they are, it stops completely. Okay? Both have given verbal consent. It's a simple conversation. Do you want to? Yeah. You? Absolutely. Let's do it. So there are people that say, I don't ask for verbal consent because it's just not sexy. I'm like, okay, let's pick that apart. Okay. I wrote numbers down. Okay. So number 1, it can be sexy. Those people are just not very imaginative. Number 2, I would rather be safe than sexy. And number 3, imagine telling your cellmate that you got thrown into jail because you wanted to be sexy. Okay, just ask. You should ask for consent when? You should ask for consent whenever something is going on like that, okay? And you should ask for consent because you are a decent human being who cares about respecting others and their bodies and their opportunity to say what they do with that body. If you don't have that respect just in general for humanity, you should ask for consent because that's how you cover your ass. Okay? That's really bad to say, but sometimes that's what people need. Just do it so you don't go in jail. Here's a big one. If anyone says that they are uncomfortable or changes their mind or says no, here's what you do. You go for this checklist of 5 things, okay? You immediately get off the bed or back away or get off the person or whatever the thing is, okay? You apologize and say that you thought the two of you were on the same page about this, okay? Then you offer to drive them home if you're perfectly sober. If not, then you offer to call them an Uber or a taxi. Number 4, you do not let them apologize for anything, okay? Tell them that it is their decision what they do with their body, and everyone should respect that. They shouldn't have to apologize for it. And number 5, the last thing you do when they are gone is you take a cold shower and you give yourself a high five for being a decent human being. Yay. Okay. Tips for when you have that consent. Everyone with any interest in, with anyone who has what we consider to be the male appendage, right? All of those people who have any interest in having that way should learn how to put on a condom. I'm not going to teach you how to do that because I think that's drawing a line. But here's the thing. There are YouTube videos. I looked them up. I can send one to you. Don't worry about it, okay? Just look up how to do it, okay? You should have a conversation about if you have any STDs or the like or anything like that. Just to cover your bases. And if you do anything un-vanilla, make sure that your partner knows that you want to do that and that you want to try it. Because if you do it and they don't know about it, that is the worst surprise ever. Don't do that. Don't just be like, hey, do you want to do this? And they can be like, no, or sure, let's do it. The last thing that I want to go through is drugs. So, through a lot of this video, I've been saying that I do not know anything through personal experience. That is true for all of these things. But especially with the drugs. Drugs and I have always just been like, I've been like, oh, there he is. And then I've been like, squirrel. And I don't have any experience. I don't have any experience with the rest of it, but I don't have any experience with this, okay? So, I asked some friends who did. And here are the general rules. Know how much you can take and never exceed that limit. Always know where it came from. Always know what it is. If you take a pill, you need to know what it is, what's the dosage that you should take, and what it will do to you. Just know that stuff. Always be in an area where you know you will be safe, okay? Also do it in an area where you know that you won't get in trouble for it, okay? Just be careful with that, okay? Okay, so I think that's it. Those are the general rules to staying safe when you're either on campus or at a college party or just hanging out with your friends, okay? I do not say this to be mean. I do not say this to be like, oh, you should do this, and oh, you should do that. I'm telling you this because this is general safety stuff that you need to know. And generally, nobody else has told you, which is bad and also very dangerous. So just keep these in mind. When you go to a college party, I want my voice in your head telling you how to be safe. Because I would rather my voice be in your head than you make a horrible, horrible mistake that costs somebody their bodily autonomy or costs somebody their life or causes somebody harm. Okay? So it's kind of hard, but stay safe. Okay? Love you.